Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All Shri Prabhupada. Welcome devotees to today's class. We were eagerly, patiently, earnestly waiting for Maharaj, but unfortunately, I think he's not able to join. I was forewarned that this may happen yesterday because he's at the retreat where the Wi-Fi is pretty weak, especially in his room. And I was also told that he really wants to give the class. So that's why I waited for 20 minutes, but I still don't want to waste everybody's time at the same time. So if all of you will allow me, I will try to do the best I can by the mercy of Guru Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada and Candramauli Swami's mercy to give the class impromptu on the spot. So we will start with the opening prayers and go straight into the verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Ekada Dunir Udyama Vicharan Mrigayam Vane. Mrigan Anugata Shranta Shustita Strishito Brisham. Jalashayama Chakshana Praviveshatam Arshamam Dadarsha Munimashinam Shantam Militalochanam. By the way, we are discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 18, verses 24 and 25. And the chapter is entitled Maharaj Parikshit Cursed by the Brahmin Boy. Srila Prabhupada's translation and purport. Once upon a time, Maharaj Parikshit, while engaged in hunting in the forest with bow and arrows, became extremely fatigued, hungry and thirsty while following the stags. While searching for a reservoir of water, he entered the hermitage of the well-known Shamika Rishi and saw the sage sitting silently with closed eyes. Srila Prabhupada's purport. The Supreme Lord is so kind to his pure devotees that in proper time he calls such devotees up to him and thus creates an auspicious circumstance for the devotee. Maharaj Parikshit was a pure devotee of the Lord, and there was no reason for him to become extremely fatigued, hungry and thirsty, because the devotee of the Lord never becomes perturbed by such bodily demands. But by the desire of the Lord, even such a devotee can become apparently fatigued and thirsty, just to create a situation favorable for his renunciation of worldly activities. One has to give up all attachment for worldly relations before one is able to go back to Godhead. And thus, when a devotee is too much absorbed in worldly affairs, the Lord creates a situation to cause indifference. The Supreme Lord never forgets his pure devotee, even though he may be engaged in so-called worldly affairs. Sometimes he creates an awkward situation and the devotee becomes obliged to renounce all worldly affairs. Sometimes the devotee can understand by the signal of the Lord, but others take it to be unfavorable and frustrating. Maharaj Parikshit was to become the medium for the revelation of Srimad Bhagavatam. But Lord Sri Krishna, as his grandfather Arjuna, was the medium for the Bhagavad Gita. Had Arjuna not been taken up with an illusion of family affection by the will of the Lord, the Bhagavad Gita would not have been spoken by the Lord himself for the good of all concerned. Similarly, had Maharaj Parikshit not been fatigued, hungry and thirsty at this time, Srimad Bhagavatam would not have been spoken by Srila Sukadeva Goswami, the prime authority of Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is a prelude to the circumstances under which Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken for the benefit of all concerned. The prelude, therefore, begins with the words, once upon a time. Om Aganatimirandhyasya Gyanagana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Shati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. What a perfect purport. The timing is so perfect as we are all experiencing the voidism of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Swami. This verse couldn't have come at a perfect time. It's just like amazing. As I was reading the purport just now, all I could think of was, wow, this is a perfect way of, glorifying His Holiness Gopal Krishna Swami. And if we look at each and every line, it really reflects what the whole of ISKCON has been experiencing and going through for the past 7 days. If we remember, the first message that we got about Maharaj was when he slipped and fell in the bathroom and broke he had two rib fracture and pneumothorax, I think is what it's called, with air in the lungs. And it just happened, as they say, out of the blue, right? And if we look at the first line of the purport, Sri Prabhupada says, the Supreme Lord is so kind to His pure devotees that in proper time, He calls such devotees up to Him and thus creates an auspicious circumstance for the devotee. So one may say, we may even speculate probably, or we may even conclude, or probably not even conclude, that the way the Lord arranged for Maharaj to leave was Krishna's proper time. Krishna's proper time. It may not have been proper for us in our so-called day-to-day life, or how we would, in our limited understanding of what it means to be proper or improper. But to Krishna, proper or improper doesn't matter. To Him, He can call the Lord, He can call His devotees in His proper time, meaning in the Lord's proper time, which may not be proper for us, but is proper for the Lord. Very, very interesting. I was even, I'm also reminded by a pastime, the situation of His Holiness Tamakrishna Maharaj, right? When he was leaving Mayapur, I believe he was either attending some meetings. If I'm not mistaken, it must have been the GBC meetings that they always have, annually. And it was time for him to leave and time for him to come back to America. Got into the taxi with two of his disciples, and the taxi driver got hit. And Maharaj was sitting in the back seat of the car, with his bead bag in his hand, and he left his body on the spot. Krishna's time, that is the proper time. And of course, we will say it's not proper for us. So it goes back to really show us that nothing happens without the sanction of the Lord. They say, there's a phrase that says, even the turning of the leaf is by the sanction of the Lord. So many instances, if we were to just take time and really think about, each and every devotee that we know of, how they left. And we'll say, how can it happen? How could it, Everything happens by the Lord's will. And then he goes, and the purport, Sri Prabhupada goes on to say that there was no reason for Maharaj Parikshit to become extremely fatigued, hungry or thirsty, because the devotee of the Lord never experiences those bodily demands. But by the desire of the Lord, the devotee can be apparently, this is the catchy word here, right? The devotee of the Lord can be apparently fatigued and thirsty just to create a situation favorable for his renunciation of worldly activities. If we remember the passing of His Holiness Kadamba Kanana Swami, he was going through that situation. There was no reason for him to become extremely fatigued, but the Lord, by the desire of the Lord, He creates that situation so that it's favorable for the devotee to give up everything worldly. Even the eating, even the drinking, even being tired. You know, sometimes we say, right? We are so exhausted. It is only by, it is, you know, our understanding of fatigue is very different from someone who is dying. It's really, really exhausting. I was reading a verse a few weeks ago, what the body goes through when the body, you know, when someone is about to leave, you know, fever of 104 degrees, 105. Can we ever imagine that? And then the fatigue is extreme. It's not the fatigue that we all go through as working people. It's not the fatigue that we go through. Okay, I spend 8 hours, 10 hours at work. I come back and I'm exhausted. It's not the fatigue of what a senior citizen goes through. Yes, they do go through fatigue, but it's nothing compared to the fatigue of the body dying. It's very exhausting. As they say, it's like dragging a sack of potatoes, you know? So Krishna creates the situation which is favorable to the devotee so that they can just quickly give it up and say, I'm done. I'm really, really done. Just quit this right now. Quit it, right? So that their minds are focused on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Really interesting. Again, if we go back to the example of that's not the word example. If you go back to the situation of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Swami, right? One day we get the news, he slipped and fell in the bathroom, broke two, you know, had two rib fracture and air in his lungs. Nothing extremely bodily, you know, obvious, except for a red scar, I believe, at the back of his back. But because of his age, they took him to the hospital. 3-4 days, he's gone. His heart capacity, in fact, when they took him to the hospital, he went through 3 heart attacks. And his kidney was failing just from that one fall in the bathroom. It led to kidney failure. It led to 3 heart attacks. It led to the heart functioning at 20% or less. And as we all know, if some of us who have a little bit of medical knowledge of medical science, or, you know, a little bit of whatever health knowledge or whatever, you know, a heart functioning below 20% is rare to see them live, unless by divine intervention. And here we see that the divine intervention of the Lord is to take Maharaj away. So here, Srila Prabhupada is reminding us, giving us the signal how important it is that we increase our hearing, that we increase our reading, that we increase our chanting, and that we make sure that we are always in the association of the devotees of the Lord. Have to increase it. It's only by this, it's only by increasing the hearing, the chanting, the reading, and the sadhu sangha and the service and everything else that is going to make us frustrated with the material world. Yes, you know, like we see the sentence here by Srila Prabhupada where he says, right, sometimes he, meaning the Supreme Lord, creates an awkward situation And the devotee becomes obliged to renounce all worldly affairs. If we all remember Maharaj's will that was openly, publicly, made known to the world, that shows that Maharaj has nothing to hide. His life was an open book. And that should be the life of a devotee. A devotee's life should be an open book, in the sense that there's nothing we should be hiding. It should be an open book. Once we start having closed book, it's like hiding things in the closet. If we start piling up things in the closet, sometimes we see this TV ads, right? Where kids or teenagers, they stuff all their junk and their toys and their what have you in the closet. And then one day they open it and it all comes tumbling down, comes rolling out of the closet. The junk, as they say, comes rolling out of the closet. That's a similar thing of a devotee life. If we hide all the nonsense and the crap and the issues and the grudges and the attachments and what have you, one day that door is going to open and all the junk is going to come out. It's too late by that time. So rather than piling up the junk, we should throw it out, just like how when we do spring cleaning or whatever cleaning in the house, right? We throw it out. Old stuff, unused stuff, whatever stuff, we get rid of it. We don't pile it in the closet. We don't pile it in the garage. We don't pile it in the basement. We get rid of it. Detachment. Getting rid of it means it's as a sign of detachment. So here, Srila Prabhupada is saying that the Lord creates an awkward situation and the devotee becomes obliged to renounce all worldly affairs. And if you remember Gopal Swami's will, he had nothing to his name but the Rolex watch that Prabhupada gave him in 1977 and his deities. That's it. I mean, to have the Lord as an asset in our life is the best gift anyone can have. Best attachment anyone can have. The assets and the properties and the lands and the bank accounts and the wills and the bonds and house and car and clothes and all that stuff, it becomes a completely burden. But to have the Lord as an asset in our lives is the best asset we can have. And Srila Prabhupada goes on to say that the devotee can understand by the signal of the Lord. So when someone is dying at that stage, they will definitely see, you know what, Krishna, you're giving me a signal. I got it. Let me give up. Let me renounce all these attachments. Let me be detached. Let me live the life, Radhanath Swami has this very nice quote, simple living, higher thinking. Let me live a simple life with higher thinking. So how can we make our life simple? How can we make it so simple that it doesn't bind us? Sometimes we think, that if I can get this higher paying job, get this highest status or position in the company, all my dreams will come true. No. The higher the job, the higher the position, the more we are entangled, because it's going to take more of our working hours to work for the material world. Where is the detachment? There is no detachment. If there's anything, it grinds us even more in the material world. Where's the higher thinking? We don't have time to even think high. because our lives are so complicated. It's not simple. Simple living, higher thinking means just renounce everything. But when we think about it, to us, it's like, okay, Krishna, you're giving me a signal. I should definitely prepare myself, you know? But others might think, oh my God, this is so unfavorable. This is frustrating. No, it's a signal from the Lord that I am the sanctioner of your life. I am the decision maker of your life. You have surrendered to me, so I'm the boss. That's exactly what Srila Prabhupada is teaching us here. You know, so beautiful. I mean, the perfect timing to really think of how, you know, Gopal Krishna Swami, Kadamba Kanana Swami, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, Gauragovinda Maharaj, Gunagrahi Maharaj, Bhaktitirtha Swami, you know, I mean, whoa, you know, the list, Sridhar Swami, the list goes on. Bhakti Swami, Ayendra Prabhu. Who would have expected that he goes into his room? This is Ayendra Prabhu. Goes into his room, about to worship his deities, and there's a gas leak in his room, and he could not open the door of his room. And the gas leak was so bad in his room that the whole room was completely filled with the gas leak. And all he did was, he knew he was going to leave his body. He couldn't open the door. He couldn't open the window. He was stuck. You know, imagine you can't open the door. You can't open the window. And it's like, you're in jail. And you're consumed by this gas leak, which is very, very lethal, by the way. He only had his Shalagram Shila, 1,008 of them, offered his obeisances and left his body there. So many instances we have. And we're actually very, very fortunate to have so many examples of acharyas in our lives to show us how to die. You know, as they say, you know, as my spiritual master says, Bhaktitirtha Swami, die before dying. How we should prepare our minds. We should always be in the urgency consciousness all the time. We should never, never take Krishna consciousness to be light. We should always know that death can come upon us at any time. It's like we've heard it, we know it, but we'll say, I got more days. I got more years. I'm just 35. I'm just 50. People don't normally leave at that age unless they got a serious health, but my health is great. You know, or unless they get into a car accident or something like that, or that, you know, it's like, oh, whatever, right? But my health is great. I don't need to worry about it. And we know this famous verse, Padam Padam Yad Vipadam. Every step there is danger. Oops, here is Maharaj.
Am I too late?
Maharaj, you can take over. I was able to cover 20 minutes, but I'm going to stop and you can enlighten us even more, Maharaj.
What do I do?
Do as you wish, Maharaj.
Yeah, but should I read the verse or what?
Maharaj, I just finished the verse and I read the verse and I read the purport. And I was just literally tying this purport to His Holiness Gopal Krishna Swami.
Oh,
because it just seems so befitting to me.
Well, continue. I'll just jump in there and say something every once in a while. Go ahead.
Maharaj, you can take over and speak the glories of Maharaj because you had so much close association with His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj. I was just sharing with the devotees how in this verse, Prabhupada was saying that the Lord calls his devotees at, in his proper time. And I was just sharing how Maharaj left his body, just within matter of 5 days, fell in the bathroom, rib fracture, kidney failure, 3 heart attacks, and he left. How everything's happened by the Lord's mercy. And I was just even tying that to, I talked a little bit about Tatama Krishna Maharaj, how he left impromptu, like unplanned and so forth. But Maharaj, you have had definitely more association with them. So if you can please enlighten us, Maharaj.
What was the last thing you were saying?
The last thing I was saying, Maharaj, is how everything happens by the will of the Lord. It may be, and how when the Lord gives us a signal, it's time for us to really consider detaching and renouncing.
Oh, you mean the final curtain is coming down and
Yes. Yes, Maharaj.
well, for one who's fully surrendered unto the Supreme Lord, along the Lord takes personal charge. And therefore, what appears to be some material calamity, it was just one way for the Lord to bring his devotee back to him. Tamal Krishna Goswami was an example. He also knew prior to his departure that he was going to leave. And he indicated that through his words and to his devotees and to others. Yeah, the Lord will give you some signals that he's about ready to make his move in bringing you back to him. In terms of Gopal Krishna Maharaj, I was absorbed in this retreat that we had here in Villa Vrindavan the whole weekend. So we only heard, we didn't hear any, we heard about his departure, and that was the only thing we heard. We didn't hear any details or anything. But we were also, in one sense, quite saddened at the same time. We understood that he had given his life fully to preach Krishna consciousness. You might say he was a Prabhupada man. That was a nice way to describe Gopal Krishna Maharaj. He lived his life simply around Prabhupada. He took in a lot of valuable instructions directly from Prabhupada. You can hear him on the morning walks with Prabhupada. He's very respectful and very much absorbed in hearing what Prabhupada has to say. And of course, his influence in the world, as far as his preaching, is quite phenomenal. Every year for the last few years, Delhi, which is his area, has won the #1 World War Award for book distribution in the world. Mayapur used to be, but after Gopal Krishna took over that area of Delhi became first. There's more than 15 temples in Delhi, and usually there's always another temple opening every few years. Most of them are under, or I would say at least a dozen or more are under the care of Gopal Krishna Maharaj's disciples. He was instrumental in helping the Hungarian Yatra when they were in trouble with some legal situation in Hungary, where they were about to lose their status as a bona fide religion that would, because in Hungary, all major religions get a certain portion of the gross national product that's taken in by the country. And we were getting 1% which is a good amount of money. And then for some reason, some laws came down. Maharaj uses influence in his contacts in India, who intervened in the situation, and because of that, we were able to maintain
It must be an internet, a Wi-Fi connection issue. Let's just wait. We got in the suspense part of how Maharaj did magic, and I want to hear that so bad. Let me see. Okay, we lost Maharaj. I'm hoping he will come back and we can get more nectar from Maharaj of how Gopala Krishna Swami did magic and helped the Hungarian Yatra.
Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj also, because Delhi is the capital of India, Anasuya,
Mhm,
he had a lot of connections with very, very important political leaders also.
mhm.
So many very big events happened, and he was in touch with these leaders who were very favorable to ISKCON. That huge, very huge Bhagavad Gita, which
The
was
big one
made.
by that he invited Modi to the Prime Minister Modi to come to.
Yeah, he invited Modi to come for Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur's appearance day event, which was actually the Gaudiya Math did that. But you remember a few years ago, the very huge Bhagavad Gita was
Yes, I remember
printed.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
And
huge.
yeah, that was also because of many things like that happened in India because of Maharaj's connections. Just wanted to share that.
Thank you so much, Devi. You know what is so amazing is how, which I'm very curious to know, how instrumental Maharaj was to make connections with the political leaders of India, like that's not an easy task, I think. I mean, I was just thinking how Maharaj got connections to all these political leaders and helped, which really helped ISKCON in India. Like even when we read, but I remember with Bhakti Swami, when he left his body in America, they had to ship his body to India. And it was by the Bengal chief minister that actually set up all the arrangement at the airport, like last minute, to get his body escorted from the Kolkata airport to Mayapur within like hours because
Yeah.
of Bhakti Swami's connection with the West Bengal Prime Minister, that close alliance. So it's amazing how Prabhupada used and Krishna used all these amazing divine pure devotees in such elevated positions to connect with these political leaders in
Mm.
service to Krishna. It's really, really amazing. Do you know how that all happened, Sridevi, in India, in Delhi?
No, that part about Bhakti Charu Maharaj, I only heard about it, just like you. I don't have any further knowledge except that, because Bhakti Charu Maharaj is such an elevated, such an advanced, pure devotee of the Lord, the things, were expedited. And so it was easy to bring his divine body all the way from USA to India, Mayapur, and then have the samadhi. There's a beautiful, beautiful samadhi in Mayapur where all the Vaishnav samadhis are, but this is made of white marble.
It's
And it
beautiful.
is, yeah, it's very beautiful with a surrounding garden that the disciples take care of very nicely. Every day they do Guru Puja, they offer garland. So, Bhakti Charu Maharaj is very much loved and respected and honored and revered. So, my hope is that even Gopal Krishna Maharaj's remains, or at least Samadhi, will happen in Mayapur also. Of course, I understand that they're taking the body first to Delhi and then to Vrindavan. That's what I heard.
Yes. Yeah, they had the Samadhi ceremony yesterday.
Oh,
Yes, they took it to Vrindavan um, on the 5th, I believe, and got there on the 6th. No. They took it to Vrindavan on the 6th, and they had the Samadhi ceremony 3 in the afternoon Eastern Standard Time. I'm sorry, Indian Standard Time on the 6th. And they completed the Samadhi ceremony, you know. But I don't know if they are going to have the Pushpa Samadhi in Mayapur. I wish they do, because it'll be nice to have all the Vaishnava Samadhis all in one place, also in Mayapur. But I don't know. But I remember that they were mentioned, they read his will. His will is so powerful. One of his points, he said that if I were to leave my body outside of India, please transport my body to Vrindavan. If I were to leave my body close to Vrindavan, take it to Vrindavan. If I were to leave my body close to Mayapur, take it to Mayapur. He was very clear in his instructions, you know. He distributed his deities. He said that he wants his deities to go to the temples under his zones, not to his disciples. Like really, really nice and beautiful, powerful instructions. One of his instructions that I really, really liked, you know, which we also hear from Bhakti Charu Swami, is not to leave ISKCON, no matter what. He made that clear. Another one that he says is not to make sure that we associate with those within ISKCON and not to hear or connect or read anything that is non-ISKCON bona fide. Like he was very, very clear, because that seemed to be coming through quite a bit, you know, all the intrusions and what have you. But yeah, this somehow, it's definitely feeling a void with Maharaj not being here, because he was, like Maharaj said, he was Prabhupada man, you know, he did amazing things, yet he was so humble and petite. You know, he was petite in size, he was humble, his smile was amazing, but he did magnanimous service for Prabhupada. You know, really pushed beautiful temples. I hear beautiful temples in India, and they listed all the temples. I was like, whoa, even the temple in Punjab and, you know, all the different places. And I said, only a man of Prabhupada can do that. No ordinary person can do that. It has to be Prabhupada Shakti and Krishna Shakti. That's the only way that can happen. Amazing.
So true what you said, because even Ujjain, ISKCON Ujjain, which is Bhakti Charu Maharaj's project, I've never been there, but I've heard that it is simply wonderful, simply wonderful. He was thinking ahead, and so there is environmentally friendly, planning. There is solar panels for harnessing solar energy. Then he has an Ayurvedic clinic there to help devotees with health issues. And of course, the magnificent different altars. Yeah, there are so many altars with so many deities there in Ujjain. And there is the deity of Sandipani Muni, because Ujjain is
Oh, really?
yeah, where Krishna and Balaram went to Gurukul.
Yes, yes.
So it's like just, Bhakti Charu Maharaj honoring the holy city of Ujjain and doing something so phenomenal that it is a landmark. It is a very magnificent structure, that whole temple complex. So yes, no ordinary person can do all these things.
Not at all. You know, in fact, now when we were watching the preaching efforts of Maharaj a few days ago, you know, they started the ISKCON temple in Kurukshetra, and he was also behind it. You know, and that's where the battle was fought. And you know, Maharaj is picking all those amazing spots. And if we see Prabhupada's life, right, he was predicted when he was born that he'll build 108 temples, which he did. Again, no one did that. 108 temples in what, in 14 years, I believe? How did he do it? And if you look at Maharaj's life, you know, in the short span, 15 years, 15 temples, 17 temples I found out, actually, from one of the videos that they showed. So many temples and this and that. And he has been the long-standing GBC since 1975. And to hold that position with all the headaches, I remember one devotee asked Bhakti Swami many years ago, Maharaj, there's so much politics and so much discussion on all this, meetings and temple presidents' meetings. Bhakti Swami said very calmly, why don't you come with me to the GBC meetings and see how bad it is over there? And then the guy said, thank you, Maharaj. He says, don't worry. But these gurus take up so much just for Prabhupada.
Was Gopal Krishna Maharaj one of the original 11 appointed by Srila Prabhupada?
I don't know. Chandramauli Swami will definitely know the answer.
Right. I think he is one of the original 11 appointed by Srila Prabhupada. And I think of the 11, only Jayapataka Maharaj and Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj,
Yes.
stayed sannyasi and survived. I think all the rest fell away, but these two stayed on. That's my understanding. I could be wrong. I
I have no idea. But I do know that Maharaj is actually appointed in 1975. That much I know. But I don't know if he was the one of the 11. That part I have no idea. But yeah, and he stayed on up until his last breath. He stayed on. I mean, and if you see, Maharaj was a GBC for so many temples. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was 36 or 38 temples because he's also a GBC for East Africa. Not only India, he was a GBC for East Africa. He's a GBC for some temples in America and some parts in Russia. So he's a GBC for many temples outside of India. Imagine the loss of what those devotees and the disciples may have been going through. It's not a joke. So I think I was reading this beautiful beautiful letter actually, and I think it's by, I forgot, I think it's by Dhanada Swami or something, or Purijan Prabhu. And I heard that same comment by Anuttama Prabhu and few other Prabhupada disciples. For the past few months, I've been hearing them saying that in the next decade, we are going to see a lot of Prabhupada disciples leaving, one by one by one. And they're all minimum 70 years old, minimum. And then they were saying, wow. And this letter was saying the next decade is going to be a decade. And when the way that letter was put together was so painful for me, at least. He said that the next decade will be a decade of tears because we're going to see a lot of proper disciples leaving. Like recently, I think a week or two ago, Mother Shilavati New Vrindavan left her body at the age of 92. And proper disciple, and she was personally trained by Prabhupada on deity worship. And she dressed Radha Damodar, the one that used to travel in the traveling Sankirtan bus party. And it's just like, it's averaging at least one a week. And yes, it is going to be a decade of tears. And then I saw another quote by another second generation devotee, saying that, Srila Prabhupada's disciples are leaving and handing over the torch, something like that. Are we ready? And I said, wow, Krishna, this is definitely a wake-up call. As Maharaj said, the curtain is closing, so we have to reopen it and hold the torch. Are we ready to fight for Prabhupada's movement? Are we ready to take over the, Prabhupada's mission? That's a reason Krishna is calling his devotees back, is because he wants to pass on the torch to the next generation to uphold Prabhupada's mission, Lord Chaitanya's movement. you know, and all that. So yeah, it's definitely a time for us to go deep, really focus on our Krishna consciousness, really get um to see where we play a role in Prabhupada's movement. How can we play a role in Prabhupada's movement? How can we be instrumental? How can we be part of Lord Chaitanya's movement? I remember my spiritual master saying this in the 90s in Gitanagari. He said that the Chaitanya Charitamrita will continue to be written. And we said, what do you mean? He says, well, now, now we have these gurus. There are so many books about them. That is our Chaitanya Charitamrita. And when all the proper disciples leave, the next generation will take over, holding up the house. That's another Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's just going to keep on being written. So I was thinking, whoa, this is the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, how beautiful it is. How kind Sri Prabhupada is to us to allow us to be part of the house that he built that the whole world can live in. How we are so fortunate to really imbibe Prabhupada's teachings, make sure that we follow Prabhupada's standards. I mean, when I was reading Gopal Krishna Swami's will, it was very, 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 very perfect. I mean, just reading it, not that we ever doubted it, but it's so clear, even more clear. This is a Prabhupada man. Don't leave ISKCON. Stay within ISKCON. If you have issues, do it nicely amongst yourself. Cooperate for Prabhupada. Don't read anything outside of ISKCON. He literally said that. Don't hear anything that's not ISKCON bona fide. Like everything, he's just doing ISKCON, 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 because that's Prabhupada's body. And Prabhupada did say, ISKCON is my body. So if we stay within Prabhupada's body, within ISKCON, we are safe, as when we live in a certain area and outside that area is all, Maya, right? Like whatever. Once we come out of that circle, like if you remember the passing of Sita, once she got out of that circle, Ravan caught her. Lakshman told her, you stay within the circle, you're safe. You cross that circle, you're gone. And Ravan was so easy to just pick her up like a fly and take her off. And that's exactly what all the proper disciples and the gurus are telling us, to stay within that circle. Because once we go out of that circle, then Ravan comes and captures us. And that circle, within that circle is the ISKCON body, is Prabhupada's body. I would like to hear from other devotees if you have any sharing, Like I said, this was an impromptu class that it just inspired me just from this verse to speak of Gopal Krishna Swami. Yes, Sri Devi, please share your feelings, Prabhu.
I was thinking that, this song, Jay Anilo Premadhana, that we sing every time in the temple, it sums up so beautifully that feeling of separation from Lord Chaitanya.
Absolutely.
I don't remember, it was one of those three. Narottam Das Thakur, I think, is writing that.
Yes, I think
Yeah.
I think you're right,
Narottam,
Prabhu.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it is so full of deep, sweet longing for that personality. So I was thinking that is very appropriate that, devotees come together and sing that. And with that, I will have to take your leave because I'm in Slovenia at the moment and it is way past the lunch serving out. I won't get any food after
Go,
this.
go, go, go.
So
No,
I have to
we
go.
cannot starve and make a devotee stay hungry. That's an offense. Please go ahead. Thank you so much, Sri Devi. Thank you. If anyone else has any thoughts you would like to share, any reflections, anything about this beautiful verse by Sri Prabhupada, and just really, praying to Gopal Krishna Swami to give us a little tinge of his mercy, of his blessings upon us, to really in our minds to lay our head and our heart at his feet and ask him for mercy, for blessings, to give us that strength to carry on Prabhupada's house. Please, I would like to hear from any of you if there's any thoughts,
I have a question.
Yes.
Have I understood right that he was Prabhupada's first Indian disciple?
I don't know that. I mean, Bhakti Swami was there. Gaur Govinda Maharaj joined earlier on, so I really don't know the answer to that, because I know that there were 2, 3 that joined around the same time. I don't know. Honestly speaking, I don't want to make a comment, but I'm sure Chandramauli Swami will have the answer to that for sure.
Thank you. Thank you. It's
Thank
okay.
you.
Thank you.
Anyone else would like to share something, ask a question, shed some light? Yes, Rishabhadas Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, you just reminded me how serious we have to become. We have to be really serious. Like we are holding ourselves for being a channel for Krishna's mercy, thinking that we cannot do it. But it's like we didn't surrender yet. We are still trying to be the enjoyers, right? We are not trying to be the dust. And when we become the dust, then no fear, then we have to becoming. Please empower us, dear mother. Empower us.
I completely agree with you, Prabhu. It's time for urgency in Krishna consciousness. We have to be urgent, absolutely. Every day, I remember my spiritual master would say that, you know, when we are 30 years old, we should think that we're 30 years dead, because we can't bring back the 30 years. And he would always tell us that if you're 50 years old, that means you're 50 years dead. You have not much time. We have to take it serious. So every day is like 1 year, 1 day dead. You know, we can't bring it back. So yes, we have to take the urgency of Krishna consciousness. I think the writing is very clear on the wall before us, as we see every week or every other week, one proper disciple are leaving at the time. And, you know, devotees who are very influential in ISKCON, leaders who have done so much for Prabhupada that even at least I can speak for myself, can't even do a drop of what they have done, which means we have to make ourselves much more stronger, much more deep in Krishna consciousness, to take it very serious, to depend on the Guru's instructions, his Vani, you know, and really believe and have faith in the process, and to allow Prabhupada's mercy and the Guru Shakti to flow through us to take over Prabhupada's mission, because it's only by Prabhupada's mercy that we all can really become soldiers, generals. Actually, Prabhupada says, I want generals, not foot soldiers, you know, to become generals for Prabhupada's mission. So yeah, this is very important that we actually take it seriously, like you said, Vishwapadas Prabhu. Time is ticking.
Yeah, you actually reminded me of one thing when I see it in Yugoslavia, in this region of Yugoslavia, where Hare Krishna Swami was really influential, and also we were in Vrila Vrindavan. There were 400 people at one point living there. Now there are 6. 6 people. They're like, so actually there's 8 of us here in the small temple, and there are 6 of them in the whole complex of Vrila Vrindavan. And there are also 6 people outside coming and you know, worshiping the 3 sets of deities they have. So like, and one thing comes to the mind when there is a powerful leaders, we kind of like to stick with them. You know, they're our inspiration for the spiritual life. They are our source of energy, everything. But when Hare Krishna Swami, and I don't know which one was in Italy, when they left, many people fell down from their position, fell down from the Bhakti Yoga process, because they were not taught and they didn't endeavor to for them to be as quick as possibly spiritually independent, spiritually, you know, so that they engage their senses and the mind for for Krishna service, not that Guru has to force us.
That's a good
know.
point, because I saw that happening even when Gaur Gunda Maharaj left in 97. Same thing happened. When he left, because he had a lot of disciples, a lot. And when he left, some stuck around, some left, and some left ISKCON and went to a different sampradaya. They left, and some just blooped, as they say, and just gave up everything and did your own thing. But yes, we tend to make that mistake that I will be here as long as I have this famous spiritual leader, this influential leader, or the influential guru. And then when the guru closes the curtain, I'm checking out also. You know, like we forget that that's not Krishna consciousness. But yes, the guru is our spiritual master, and he's definitely the representative of Krishna, but the guru's purpose is to have us get attached to the Supreme Lord. You know, to the feet of the Supreme Lord, to the lotus feet of Supreme Lord, so we don't give up. We keep on going. I mean, if you look at the Prabhupada disciples, many of them, even when Prabhupada left, some stayed, some left. And those that stayed, they believed in Prabhupada's instructions, the Vani. That's why they said the Vani is stronger than the Vapu. You know, we believe in the instructions, and actually, I always say that it's because of these Prabhupada disciples. It's because of them is what we have today in ISKCON. If it wasn't for them, we would not have what we have in ISKCON today. It's because of the Prabhupada disciples, because they really gave their sweat and their blood and their everything. I mean, quite a bit. Yes, very nice point, Rishabh Prabhu. Very nice.
And there is one thing about regarding what you said about be connected to Krishna and be attached to Krishna. We cannot be attached to Krishna or to Guru or to the Guru's instructions if we do not consider ourselves and develop our ego of servant. Otherwise, if we think we are Ishvara, then everything other is optional, then my sense enjoyment.
So true.
Sorry,
So
I
true.
think that Mahana Sini Radha wanted to ask something.
Okay, thank you for letting me. What to do in case we don't feel like serving anymore? Oh, sorry, wait. If we don't feel like serving people anymore who have hurt you. You know what, Mohanasini, I went through that. And the solution that I got, and I will share with you the remedy that helped me. And all glories to His Holiness Bhakti Mark Swami. He gave me the remedy. He saved me back in 2000. Oh, geez, I want to say 9 or 10, 2009 or 2000. I think it was 2010, something like that. Because I was in the same situation. And Maharaj said, first of all, Bhakti Mark Swami is amazing. He sat down with me in my house living room. Like he sat in my house. He was there for 7 days. One day he knocked at the room door and he said to me and my husband, I want to talk to you both because I can feel pain in your heart. And at 5:30 in the morning, Mangalarti time, he sat with us in the living room and we just shared our pain and we cried. And Bhakti Mark Swami shed tears with us. He heard it for an hour or two. He just heard our pain. At the end, he gave me the best instruction that healed me. He said, Anasuya, when you see the devotees who have hurt you the most and you don't want to serve them, imagine that you are dancing in a ballroom and you're not banging into each other's elbows. That's one advice he gave me. He says, you don't have to dance on the floor right away. You just stand on the wall and you watch. You don't have to dance. But when you're ready to dance, dance with people that you can feel comfortable, but don't bump in the elbow. The second one that he really, really helped me, he says, pray to Lord Nrsingadev. I did that for 18 months to 2 years. He says, when you pray to Lord Nrsingadev, every day pray to him and sincerely from your heart, honestly pray to the Lord to rip your mind and your heart and pluck out the pain, just as how he plucked out the intestines of Hiranyakasipu. That's what he told me to do. He says, pray and pray that every day and you will see the magic. And by Krishna's mercy, I have a small deity of Lord Nrsingadev on my home altar. And I also have Lord Jagannath Bali Subhad in Gornitai. And for those 18 months, I have to make a confession here that every time I woke up my deities in the morning, I'll only pray to Lord Nrsingadev and ignore all the other deities because I wanted this pain from my heart because I was carrying it for years and it was painful. And when I said that to Maharaj, he said, you see, Anasuya, you're hurting yourself. The pain is so painful that you're hurting yourself and you're not allowing yourself to heal because you are carrying that pain like a sack of potatoes, he said. So pray to Lord Nrsingadev. So I did that. And I had to pray to them in the mood that I want this pain to go because it's very, very, very painful and it's bringing me down spiritually. I did it for 18 months to 2 years because I was avoiding a particular devotee, very elevated devotee, by the way, and very, very senior in ISKCON, very well known and popular too. I want to mention the name. I was avoiding the person for about many years. And once after 2 years, I could feel my heart getting lighter, but not completely. So I continued that prayer. 10 years later, when I saw this particular senior devotee, I was able to go up and offer my obeisances. Before that, whenever I see him, just like what Bhakti Marg Swami told me, don't bump the elbows. So whenever I see him, I would make a U-turn because I didn't want to bump the elbows and no offenses. So I see this devotee, U-turn or reverse or run, something, and whenever I did that, that's how I knew my pain was still there. So I continued to pray to Lord Nrsingadev. And finally, when I saw this devotee, I want to say in 2018 or 19, literally, just recently, I was able to go up and smile and greet. And that's when I knew the pain has gone. So that is my advice that helped me from Bhakti Marg Swami, that saved me. Until today, whenever I see Bhakti Marg Swami, I always thank him for saving me. It was very hard for me because that was also when my spiritual master left the planet in 2005. He left, he left the body. So it was very hard for me at that time, from 2005 to, after that, loss of the spiritual master, this pain, being in management, got hurt by very elevated senior. It was a lot. It was a lot. And that was the best advice. And every time I see Maharaj, I said, thank you for saving me. But yes, so that's my advice. Go ahead. I'm trying to hear you and I can't hear you, mother.
I'm very sorry for I also read today morning something regarding topic.
I'm very sorry. I don't hear anything. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me, but I don't hear anything. I'm so sorry.
I don't hear her too. Something with the...
Maybe something with the connection.
But I can write it.
Yeah, I'm trying to hear
Yes,
her.
now it's better.
Otherwise, I can type.
Yeah, can you type it, Mohanasini? I'm sorry. It's I really want to hear your words, but I can't because of the static. That's the word. I couldn't think of the word. The static, yes. Silpesh Prabhu, you had something to say, Prabhu? I think you had your hand. Go ahead.
It's Hare Krishna Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj, all glories to Srila Prabhupada,
Okay.
all glories to the assembled devotees. I was at an event last Friday of Jay Advaita Maharaj, and he was asked a very similar question where, what if like you feel so hurt in ISKCON, you want to leave ISKCON, like you don't want to serve anymore? And he gave the most radical answer I've ever heard. He said,
I want to hear it.
He said, just go and start your own community. You know, follow ISKCON, but start your own group, start your own community if you're really not getting along. And I saw that as meaning like find my own tribe, as it were, within ISKCON, the devotees I can get along with. That's how I understood it. But it was very, very radical answer. And he said, I think once there were a lot of African American devotees in America,
Mm-hmm.
there was a lot of racism in the temple, and they were told, go out and start your own community, and they did. I think they started another temple or something like that. And he goes, that's good, because then people start more temples, and Krishna consciousness spreads. More people preach in different places, so it's quite radical.
That's a very radical, but you see, and the thing is, Prabhu, you will definitely get different radical, powerful answers to the same question. Because let me tell you, there are a lot of devotees who have been hurt, a lot have been hurt. It's not just few, a lot. Like I was thinking of a situation, like in my family, like even if we think of our parents, right? Like I know for me, it is just me and my sister. My sister and I fight like cats and dogs every now and then, even though we are, old, lack of a better word. But I don't desert her. At some point, whether it's like 6 months later or something, we will reconnect, right? We come to a middle ground and we try to resolve it, and that's one thing that I've also learned. But if you ask any any devotee the same question, we will definitely get different answers, and I would apply all of it, because more answer, more results, as they say, But yeah, because in fact, that's what happened to my spiritual master, he was seeing a lot of that in ISKCON in the 70s after Prabhupada left. And that's how he went to Africa, and he started the whole African zone in Africa, in West Africa. And then he left, kind of like if you read in his book, Black Lotus, I think it's what, 8 years he left ISKCON. Started it was 8 years. Went to West Africa, started the whole thing, Prabhupada's name, everything was Prabhupada. Nothing was different from Prabhupada, And when he came back to DC, he did the same thing. And that's how he was able to get so many African-American devotees, in DC. One of them is my husband too, who joined, at that time. And when the news got to the bigger ISKCON, I remember so clearly, 7 sannyasis came to meet my spiritual master to ask him to come back to ISKCON. This was in 92. 7 sannyasis came to see him. Mukunda Maharaj, Gauragovinda Maharaj, Malati Prabhu, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, Krishna. I'm trying to remember who the others were. There were 7. I remember because they were all sitting in the front with all in sannyas robes. That's how I remember, 7 of them. And they all said, come back. If you've done so much in West Africa and this other place, you can do more for Prabhupada. And he came back. So yes, absolutely. And that's another way to, like Mara said, create a new temple for Prabhupada, Yeah, but no, many devotees have been hurt, a lot have been hurt. And sometimes the hurt is also something for us to learn from. At least when I look back, of course, when I was going through that hurt, it was very painful that I don't want to hear nothing. But 10 years later, 15 years later, when I look back and I think about that hurt, it's not painful anymore. I can 100% say that, but I can see Krishna's hand in it. I can see it now. You tell me to see, then I said, don't talk to me. I'm not your friend, But now I can see, wow, Krishna, you were really teaching me some serious lesson. Now I can see it. It's all the Lord sanctioning lessons for me to learn from, you know. So that was definitely Krishna's mercy that he had to show me in that way. Good or bad, you know, he had to show me in that way. Just like what, you know, like in the verse that we read, you know, Prabhupada says, if Maharaj Parikshit was not cursed, we would not be hearing the Bhagavatam spoken by Sukadev Goswami. Same thing. So Prabhupada is saying is, had he not been cursed, then he would not have had 7 days, and we would not have heard the Bhagavatam, and there'll be no Bhagavatam. So one might say, that's a wicked curse. Like, Krishna, do you have to do all the drama just to do this? That's how the Lord works, you know? Yeah. But that's a very nice radical answer by Jayadvaita Swami. He's powerful too. Maharaj is powerful.
Your Guru Maharaj lived it. He showed us the way.
He sure did. He was a radical himself. He was a radical himself, completely a radical. But yes, yeah, Jayadvaita Swami is powerful. In fact, I asked the same question of Radhanath Swami before I asked Bhakti Marg Swami, and I think it was literally few months after my spiritual master left. And Radhanath, and this was in a Bhagavatam class in Gitanagara, I remember very clearly. Maharaj says, learn to forgive, but don't forget. That's what Radhanath Swami said. So like I said, I got so many instructions and I applied all of them. And that's how it made me get over that pain, you know. He says, you have to learn to forgive, because if you don't forgive, you are carrying, that means you haven't forgiven yourself, and you're carrying that pain, which is obstructing your Krishna consciousness. That is what he said. The pain of carrying that hurt is really obstructing our Krishna consciousness. We are not cleaning our hearts. We're not cleaning our minds. We're dragging this, you know, this like, it's like dragging a bunch of nails, like very heavy. He says, how long do you want to carry that baggage? He says, drop it, but don't forget. So he says we have to learn to forgive, but don't forget, because once bitten, twice shy. So that's another thing that I also applied in my healing process, you know, is those two. Yeah.
Forgiveness is quite huge, even like in just secular life now. People are learning a lot about it, because it literally can kill you. It can make you sick and you can die without forgiving.
Oh, yes. Make you sick, Prabhu, you know. Sadly, I saw that happen to my mother. She carried that pain with her from 1981 up until she passed away in 2007. She couldn't forgive one person in the extended family. She carried that pain. It was such a very bad situation that I can see how painful, why she wouldn't forgive, because it was a repeated action with no results. But she carried that pain so much so that she ended up with 11 health diseases. And when she was diagnosed with, in fact, in 2013, interestingly, she had end-stage kidney failure. It just went to stage 5. It didn't even go from 1, 2, 3, 4. It just went and she died. Within 4 years. I saw my mother was a living example of how forgiveness can make our body sick. I mean, she had, I don't know what, 11 ailments just from that pain of not forgiving and carrying that pain. My mother was an example to me. It can make one sick and die. You're right. Absolutely. We gotta let it go, because we're digging our own graves. We really are. Such a powerful point you brought up, Prabhu. How forgiveness can make us sick. I mean, yeah, my mother was my living example. Literally was. That's why my sister and I, we talk a lot about it, and we help her. And thanks to my guru, because of whatever little he has taught me. And my family are Christian, so I always help my sister to let go, because she tends to hold it very strong to her heart. So yeah, such a good point you mentioned, Prabhu. Forgiveness, carrying that hurt It also means that we have to learn to forgive and let go because it can make us sick. Absolutely. And I think that's what's relating to Mohanasini Mataji's point. She says, wait, which I have read this morning related to the topic. If you carry a bag with you for many years, that's a good point. It gets spoiled. That's a very yes. You know, if we carry the sack of potatoes, the potatoes are going to get rotten. That is so true. The goods inside will get spoiled. So let's get rid of the spoiled goods. Absolutely, Mohasasini. Exactly. You know, like, you know, even if we carry, you know, and I want to use this example, like even if we carry the thorns with us, it's going to get eroded. Or even if we carry the nails of pain, it's going to get rusted. Drop it. At some point, we have to drop it. And I am completely speaking from my own realization that it took Bhakti Marg Swami to really help, because at the time my wound was very fresh, literally 2-3 years, about 2 years, yeah. So if had he not come, I don't know where I would be now, because at that stage of my life, after my spiritual master left, I was at the stage of spiritual suicidal. I really was. It was really bad because for me, you know, I have the Kshatriya mood, the Kshatrani mood. So for me, I need service. You know, service is my lifeline. If I don't have service, I go, it's like, I mean, I can't. I need service. So aside from what was happening after my spiritual master left, and so much issues and, you know, backstab, all kinds of stuff. And then I was at the stage of no service. I was completely spiritually suicidal. And Bhakti Marg Swami just came right there and saved me. And he taught me, he gave me the prayer, the remedy to let go of the spoiled goods. Like you said, carrying that bag is going to get rotten and it's going to make us sick. It's going to make us sick, like Silpesh Prabhu said, and people get sickness. My spiritual master used to say that whatever internal disease we have emotionally and mentally will manifest in the physical body. And interestingly, I'll tell you an interesting point, Mohanasini Mataji. In 2005, my spiritual master left. And 2008, because in 2006, 2008, I was going through this difficult time, you know, with a lot of hurt. I was carrying it to my heart so much. In 2008, I almost left my body on Govardhan Puja because I had a fatal heart condition. And the doctor said that if I got to the hospital in 2 hours late, I would have died that day on Govardhan Puja. So the devotees actually saved me and got me in time to the hospital. And after being in the hospital for 4 days, a doctor came to check me out, and he was an electrophysiologist. And the first question he asked me, and I've never had any doctor ask me this, who hurt you the most? He said, because your electrophysiological fatal heart condition is because of someone that did something to you and it affected your health. So the pain was infesting me and I ended up with a heart condition. Until today, I have the heart condition. It's not as bad as it used to be because I went for treatment in 2011, but from that, you know, the humidity affects me, the cold weather affects me, I got asthma from it, I got all kinds of stuff from it. But it's under control, but still I have to watch my limitations, but that's the result. Is I was carrying that pain and that hurt, and it left me with a fatal heart condition. Just like Silpesh Prabhu said, if we don't let it go, we can become sick. And I'm a living example. You can ask my husband. And Bhakti Marg Swami saved me from that. He taught me how to let it go. And right now, I still have the heart condition after the treatment, but sometimes it bothers me. You know, I have my heart medication with me. It's not as bad as it was in 2008, but it's definitely something that I have to be always monitored by. But yeah, absolutely. Forgiveness is an important part of our Krishna consciousness. Sometimes, you know, I was thinking about this, Silpesh Prabhu, and so nice that you brought this point up. Last night I was thinking, sometimes we think, chant, read, eat Krishna Prasadam, all is great. Yes, it's perfect. But the chanting is supposed to clean our hearts. That's why they say to chant. It's not just chant Namabasa and think we're going to go back to Godhead. No, the chanting is supposed to help us to clean our hearts with the pain and the hurt, you know, and whatever we hide under the carpet, whatever we hide in our closets, it's supposed to clean that so that it'll be a new heart that we can go back to the Lord with without any baggage. And that's why in the verse, you know, we renounce everything. We renounce everything so that the heart is renewed, as they say, and we can go back to the Lord with this renewed heart. But the chanting is meant to clean. Cheto Darpana Marjam is meant to clean it. It's meant to, there you see, you got a back problem. Exactly. In fact, I was told by one of my senior god sister who left her body many years ago, she said that whenever we have back issues, it's because that we're carrying a lot of pain in our hearts. And I have a back issue too. But yeah, it's in many of our mental and emotional issues will manifest physically if we don't treat it right away, if we don't heal it.
Mataji, when you say chanting cleans our hearts, I always understand that. In my experience, it's not like your problems just disappear, but it brings things up to be cleared. Is that correct?
Yes. So because Prabhu, we have been suppressing so much for years that it's knowingly or unknowingly, you know, and sometimes we live this life also of hiding under the rug. Just push it on the closet, and outside it looks all perfect, you know, and sometimes we just ignore it because out of ignorance. But the chanting will bring it up to see, wait, that's not Krishna conscious. That's not nice. I should deal with it. Or, boy, that's really painful. I need to let it go, you know? Or how can I let it go and not be attached to the results? Because we can't control the results. You know, like they say, you can lead the horse to the water, but you can't make the horse drink the water. So if someone did something to me and I want them to say sorry, but wait, I have to forgive myself. I have to let it go first because I can't make them say, come say sorry to me. They're like, who are you? But I got to let it go. So it brings up stuff, you know, and what I've noticed and, you know, in my life is it brings up stuff for us to heal, for us to clean our hearts, for us to clean our minds. And at the same time, we become more aware of our actions going forward. Like we catch, no, wait, like just like a couple of days ago, you know, I was in a temple for Sunday program and one devotee, and I've known her for so many years, but we had a leaking kitchen sink and she was cooking and I was so engrossed because it's the third time the kitchen sink was leaking in the temple. I was so frustrated that I didn't greet her. And that night I came back and I said, oh my God, I didn't greet this Mataji, you know, like that's not nice. So I sent her a message the next day. I said, I'm so sorry. I was so caught up. And that's what I've seen is like, you know, it helps us to be more aware of our actions. And at the same time, it brings up stuff that we have been suppressing and burying and ignoring. And you know, it does both. It does both because the goal is to clean our hearts. Because, you know, if we say Prabhupada, like I was reading this nice quote by Prabhupada 2 days ago, where Prabhupada said that if we have offended a devotee, Krishna won't forgive us. So if the heart is not being clean and we keep thinking, oh, I can continue like that, just chant and just read and eat Krishna Prasadam, I can hurt devotees. Krishna's going to say, no, you're hurting my devotees. So it's, you know, my dad used to always tell me this, earn your salvation first. Clean up yourself before you clean someone else's, you know, and he would always tell me that. So so when I put all this together, it, you know, like we have to do the work for ourselves. But yes, it brings up stuff, Prabhu. It brings up stuff that we knowingly or unknowingly have been hiding. And most of the time it's unknowing because it's our conditioning. It's our conditioning, and when it comes up, it's a blessing. Actually, it's pure mercy. When it comes up, it's pure mercy. Like, wow, Krishna, you're helping me to see this. I got to clean up my act. You know, it's mercy. But yes, that's what chanting does. And that's what I see in my life, you know, and since, you know, Gopakshana Swami, I've been praying to him, you know, asking him to please help me to get really deep in my chanting, really, really deep, because he was always telling his disciple, chant, 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 chant better. Because why? So we can go deeper. You know, nice point, Silpesh Prabhu, nice point. Wow, I took so much of your time. I'm so sorry. Any other questions from you? This is such a wonderful discussion. So what I call so personal, and I always enjoy hearing devotees' personal reflections, because it helps me to meditate on them and apply that in my life. You know, wow, because everything we hear, there's always a lesson for us to learn from, you know, that yes, you're right. That's a nice point, Mohan Sini. Yes, Krishna, I'm ready for this. Exactly. Like, am I ready for this? And help me to clean my heart so I can be happy again, you know, because the pain makes us feel miserable. Krishna wants happy devotees. With, you know, Prophet said, I made the hippies happies, you know, that kind of a stuff. And when we're happy is when we can serve so nicely. We can serve so nicely, you know, and whenever issues come, yeah, I go through that too till this day. I vent at my husband. I vent, I get upset, I get disturbed. And at the end of the day, I always ask my spiritual master, please, this pain is bothering me. Get it out of my heart. I need to serve, you know, I need to serve. And by his mercy, you know, a few days, it gets light. We should always be in a prayerful mood. Always praying to our gurus, our spiritual masters, our parampara, Krishna, always praying to ask them, help me to lighten this pain, help me to serve you better, whatever it takes to clean this heart, remove it. Like, we should always be in a prayerful mood, always asking the Lord to help us get over whatever hurdles or crossroads we're coming so that we can serve better. Because we're going to get it. We are going to get wrenches thrown at us. Because why? That's a test by the Lord. You know, like from going to grade 1 to grade 2 to grade 3, we get tests, right? We don't finish and not get tests. So the same thing in spiritual life. We will be tested. Each time we pass a test, we're going to get another test. We pass that test, we're going to get another test. But these tests will make us stronger. Will make us really strong in our Krishna consciousness, that Krishna will give us the strength to fight the tests. It just makes us stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. Like, whatever come what may, okay, Krishna, you know, just back me up, you know, I'll fight it, but just back me up, you know, and that's what I always pray to the Lord, you know, help me to fight this test, help me to fight this test, you know, help me to fight this mind, help me to fight small things. You know, the small things are also very important that we pray for, you know, help me to, you know, chant my Gayatri on time, because, you know, my work call is something. I small things we have to pray, be in a prayerful mood. Yes. Thank you, Mohasini. Thank you so much to all the devotees. I'm sorry that I took so much of your time. If there is any last, Hare Krishna, if there's no comments, thank you.
It was many things. I learned many things today. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, by the mercy of my spiritual master. And thank you so much, Mohan Seni Radha. And thank you to all the devotees for joining us. Vanchakraptibhyascha, Kripasindabevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Chandramauli Swami ki jai. Have a wonderful day. Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you very much. Hare
Thank
Bol.
you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, nice class.
Thank you, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.